Welcome to Anti-Woke and Autistic. I'm going to discuss something that's really been bothering me lately. It bugs me. It really bugs me. And it troubles a lot of people. This includes overweight, even obese, body positive influencers, because I've read a few articles where this has come up. However, it's a barely tapped topic. There's not a whole lot out there on this. It's about time somebody create a video about it. It's this 2-second transformation that many, and I mean many, body positivity influencers do. They are considered either thin, slender, or straight size. Some overweight body positive influencers believe they're taking up too much space in the body positivity realm. Well, this 2-second transformation thing has gotten out of hand. They act like they're onto something groundbreaking and revolutionary, as though people already don't know that when you pose for a picture, you're going to pose in your most flattering position rather than the most unflattering position. So let's look at the first one here. This is an Instagram influencer, and as you can see, there's a before and after picture, which took only 2 seconds between the before and the after. It's obvious in the after picture that she's standing kind of odd. She's standing with her torso forward, and her legs appear to be tensed up a little bit. So this forward pose creates the illusion that she's a little trimmer in the middle than in the relaxed pose on the left, in which she's standing more erect. Now, when people view the after photo, which is a common pose on Instagram, it should be obvious that she's standing in a certain way that makes her figure flattering. Yet these influencers believe that many followers of Instagram stars with supposedly flawless bodies don't realize that. Maybe some women out there, teen girls and women, really are stupid enough not to realize that that's a pose for optimal flattery. How can you not tell? All right, let's look at the next one here. Now, come on. She has her pants pulled down way below her belly button. Women don't, most women simply do not wear their pants that way. They just simply don't. Who with half a brain, who with the brain the size of a peanut, wouldn't know that if your pants are below your belly, you're going to have what looks like a bigger belly? But if your pants are pulled up to your belly button, the pants act as a girdle, even if they're not constructed to be a girdle. The pants, especially a tight pair of stretchy pants, they act as a girdle and they compress things and literally flatten your tummy a little bit. How can you not know this? The picture on the right is more unrealistic than the image on the left, because the image on the left, women, even if they have what's considered an attractive body, will wear those kinds of pants up to their belly button, give or take. They're not going to wear them shoved down 5 inches, 6 inches below their belly button. Nobody wears pants like that. Very few people, very few women wear their pants that way. So the image on the left, the before image, is the one that's realistic. I don't know what this woman's trying to prove. Furthermore, in the picture on the right, it appears that she's deliberately puffing out her stomach, which is just as unnatural as sucking in your stomach. So I don't know what she's trying to prove. Now, this woman in the caption says that the picture on the left is misleading and the one on the right is real because you can see below her breast there's a puff of skin or excess fat, whatever you want to call it, sticking out a little bit. And it's hidden in the picture on the left. Therefore, the picture in the left, as she says, is misleading. No, the picture on the left is not misleading because the picture on the left What you see is what she is. There's nothing misleading about it. That is the way she looks if she's standing that way with her arms up, her legs together, a full frontal view. What's so misleading about it? So there's something behind her that's hidden. There's nothing misleading about that. You can't see both the front and the back of a person at the same time unless you're above them like a bird staring down. But there's nothing misleading about a frontal picture if there's something in the back. Likewise, if you're looking at somebody's back and you can see their stomach, which is chubby, there's nothing misleading about that because it's a picture of their back. So, of course, you're not going to see the other side. There's nothing misleading about this. So, I don't know what she's trying to prove either. All right, this is ridiculous. Yes, the picture on the left is how a lot of Instagram stars pose. But the picture on the right, that's not reality. She is obviously deliberately sticking out her stomach. She's deliberately contorting herself to look as big as possible. She does not look natural on the right. A natural pose would be like in between, would be like a fusion of those two. The one on the left looks like she is slightly sucking in her stomach, yes. The one on the right looks like she's sticking out her stomach. So they're both a little unrealistic. The realistic one would be what would appear to be not so much as it looks like on the left, but not so much as it looks like on the right. Again, I don't know what this woman is trying to prove. Okay, now this woman here is angled a little bit in the before picture, so you can't really see the puffiness in her abdominal area. And over here on the right, she's showing it. The one on the left is not misleading. What you see is how she's posing. You can't see every angle of a person at the same time. Furthermore, even somebody with half a brain is going to know that the pose on the left might be hiding something there or not exposing something to view. Anybody should know that. Now, let's look at this picture. Haven't our mothers always told us, sit up straight? Sit up straight. It's not good for the spine to sit slumped like this one on the right here. She's sitting slumped. Now, a lot of people sit that way because it's more comfortable or they don't realize they're sitting that way when they've been sitting down for a long time. But when you sit for a picture, hey, since we were kids, haven't our mothers always said something like, hey, sit up straight, sit up straight? What's wrong with that? These influencers act as though they're being deceptive and engaging in a lot of trickery and deception and dishonesty and fraud. No, they're not. They're simply doing what people have been doing since the invention of the camera. You pose in the most flattering way. What is so heinous about that? Anybody who sees this and doesn't realize, and I'm talking about the picture on the left, anybody who sees that and doesn't realize that she's sitting in a way that flatters her midsection and uncrinkles it, you got to be pretty dumb not to realize that. This woman says, yeah, on the left here, 8 a.m., and then on the right, 8 a.m., or excuse me, 8:05 a.m., 5 minutes later, plus bite of food. Well, what's her idea of a bite of food? Because it looks like she has two turkeys inside her gut. So she's lying her head off. There is no way a bite. Now, I'm assuming when she says a bite of food, like several bites maybe, not necessarily literally one bite, but when you say a bite of food, that means a small amount of food. It could be several mouthfuls, a small amount of food. There is no way that a small amount of food is going to turn this slim stomach hair into what looks like 6 months of pregnancy. Even if you're slender, a little bit of food is not going to make you look like you have a baby inside you. She is very obviously sticking her gut out. Furthermore, her pants are pulled down. When women wear these kinds of pants, they do not wear them pulled down this far. So right off the bat, the way she's wearing the pants is unrealistic. That is not reality. When you wear pants with a tight waistband below your belly button, which is wider than your waist, it's going to be tighter and more constricting. And when that happens, it causes, for lack of a better term, your gut to stick out a little bit more. Remember what I was saying before, that these kind of pants kind of act like a girdle. Now, I don't know if the 8 a.m. picture she's sucking in her gut, maybe she is a little bit, but she is clearly sticking it out as much as possible in the 5 minute later picture. There's no way a bite of food is going to cause that. Now, the troubling thing about these pictures, the reason why overweight, obese, fat women have trouble with these is because they're almost a mockery. They're almost a mockery because overweight women can't get rid of, visibly speaking, areas of fat and pudge by simply shifting position with a 2-second transformation. They don't have that luxury. They can't do that. So, what are these women trying to tell us? Ever since the invention of the camera, people have posed in a way to look more flattering. We've heard from day one from our parents, stand up straight, sit up straight, look tall, improve your posture. Any chiropractor will tell you you should sit up straight or stand up straight instead of slouching because it's just better for the spine. For decades and decades, people have been posing in ways for pictures, and I'm talking about long before social media, to look their best. There's so many ways you can look your best. Why is it considered fraudulent or deceptive to suck in your gut or stand at an angle to make your waist look slimmer or your stomach look slimmer, but it's perfectly acceptable to drape your hair over your shoulders when it doesn't naturally fall that way to look better for a picture? Why is that? People will put makeup on so they don't look so pale in a picture. Women especially will do that. I mean, it's almost exclusively among women. They'll put makeup on. They'll put a little color in your cheeks. They don't want to look pale for a picture. Why not? They're so into looking natural. Why does it stop with just the body? Why not the face also? Leave the makeup off if you're going to preach looking natural. What about a smile? A smile isn't natural if you feel in a crummy mood when a picture's being taken. What if you're having a lousy day? What if you're having a lousy day and it's time for the group picture and you're told to smile? That feels weird. It feels awkward. It feels unnatural. But you do so because it makes you look better. Why is that okay? But it's not okay to sit tall and with your chest puffed out a little bit to create the illusion that you have a tighter, trimmer waist. Why are you expected in this day and age of, oh, body positivity, don't trigger and upset all those women and teen girls out there by posing perfect because then it'll make them feel bad about their own bodies? Why is it okay to put color in your hair, makeup on your face, an artificial smile even though you feel rotten? But heaven forbid if you sit straight or position your legs in a way to make your upper thighs look as slim as possible, or if you're standing, to angle yourself a little bit so that your waistline and abdomen look as trim as possible. There's a double standard going on here. Look, pose the way you want on Instagram. If anybody out there thinks that the poses they see on Instagram are not deliberately posed in a way to optimize the appearance and minimize the so-called flaws, they are incredibly naive, just dull-witted. How can anyone not realize that the images in Instagram that look perfect are, number one, not practiced and rehearsed and posed? and number two are one of, who knows, a dozen pictures that were taken, and the best one made it to the account. How can you not know and realize that? But apparently, there are some followers out there, they're addicted to Instagram perhaps, who actually believe this is the way this person looks 100% of the time, no matter what pose she's in. Again, you have to be incredibly stupid not to realize that when you have an Instagram account chock full of all sorts of wonderful, perfect, flawless pictures of flawless bodies, you have to be pretty stupid not to realize it's all photographic manipulation as far as lighting, makeup. Maybe there's some concealers on their legs to hide some cellulite. Maybe there's filters, digital filters, positioning. I mean, maybe it was taken first thing in the morning when your stomach is the flattest before they've had anything to eat or drink. How can people be dumb enough not to realize that? Is it really true that there are young women who have suffered mental health issues because they don't look as perfect as the pictures in Instagram? I can't believe that's really true. And if it is that a majority? And I don't mean the majority of Instagram addicts, but just the majority in general of the populace. I can't believe people, look, I'm going to be blunt again. I can't believe women can be that stupid. I just cannot believe. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as Instagram. But even as a child, I knew that when people take pictures, the person taking the picture, like at a family get together, at a holiday get together, often the person taking the picture says things like, "All right, stand this way, turn this way, sit this way, put your leg this way, smile, do this, do that." Or let's stand over here, the lighting's better, it makes your faces glow more. Or it makes your eyes brighter if you stand this way. Stand up straight, turn this way. I mean, and even the people in the pictures, they'll do things like that. They'll shuffle around and they'll, hey, wait a second, don't take it yet. Let me just change my body position a little bit. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just put my hair over like this. Or I mean, this has been happening since whenever the camera was invented. Now, in the olden days, you'll notice that nobody was smiling for pictures. That was the norm back then. It was considered weird to smile. And at some point, smiling became the expectation in pictures. Why must people always smile for pictures? Talk about social standards and, for lack of a better term, beauty standards. Why are we always told to smile? Say cheese. Yet in the olden days, it was considered weird as hell to smile. Nowadays, we're saying, oh, just sit slouched to show all the belly rolls. Make sure you position yourself so that all your imperfections are showing. What in the fudge? I'm not going to sit in a way that makes my body look less flattering if I'm having a picture taken of me. There's no way in heck I'm going to pose for it. Hasn't People have been posing for pictures to look as best as they can since the invention of the camera. And I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm really getting tired of these 2-second transformations. These 2-second transformations are an insult to the intelligence of many people. They're also an insult to women who are too overweight to make a 2-second transformation. These are women who still look fat, no matter how they angle their body, no matter how erect and straight they position themselves, no matter how they position their legs, no matter what they do, they're always going to look fat. And I bet they're really pissed off by this movement, by these thin influencers who are taking up too much space. And I know they're really mad about how popular this movement is, this fad. It's a fad of these 2-second body transformations. And there's always an article, like every week, there's an article about some influencer who's like a size 6, a size 8, maybe a size 10, who's showing 2-second transformations as though it's this revolutionary, groundbreaking, pioneering act that'll change the world. It's an insult. You don't see men doing this. As a matter of fact, when men compete in bodybuilding competitions or when they pose, when they do fitness poses, like if you've ever seen pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the bodybuilder, of course, the famous bodybuilder, and any competitive bodybuilder, any famous bodybuilder, Mr. Olympia, Mr. Universe, Mr. America, they are almost always posed at an angle because that angle makes their waist look as slim as possible. It creates the illusion that their waistline is much smaller than it actually is. Yeah, there are some poses of bodybuilders facing you perfectly, and they still have a small waist. This applies to female bodybuilders or physique competitors as well. It's almost always a three-quarter pose. Well, why can't non-bodybuilders also do that? Look, the bottom line is these influencers are seemingly trying to make people feel guilty for positioning their body to look as perfect as possible. If you're an Instagrammer and you sit in a certain way or stand a certain way to look as firm as possible or as fit as possible or as trim as possible, there's nothing fraudulent about that or artificial because there's no filters. It's not like you've digitally manipulated the picture. I mean, what's so unnatural about it? It's Come on, enough of this nonsense already. Let's move on to something that isn't such an insult to the intelligence of many women. When you get right down to it, if the self esteem and self worth of a young person is getting shattered by pictures of a total stranger, don't you think the problem goes way deeper than just social media? There's something not right in the household. Maybe their parents don't spend enough time with them. Maybe their parents are overly critical. Maybe their parents have too many high expectations and put a lot of pressure on that poor kid. Maybe that kid feels like he never or she never measures up to the high expectations of the parents. So they get all caught up with this. Well, maybe if I looked better, if I looked perfect, if I had a tiny waist, if I had a thigh gap and stick sized thighs, I'd be happy. Come on. It all originates in the home. This is psychology 101. One, you not have a master's degree or a PhD in psychology to know this is what often happens to human beings. I'm sick of these 2-second transformations. There is nothing groundbreaking or revolutionary about this fad. I sure wish it would go away. Well, that's it for today. Have a nice day.